What's up, guys? Rorlin here. This time on 3D NerdStop, we're going to revisit the Gumball machine globe. Alright guys, here's what we're going to revisit. We're actually going to do a remix on this. Here's our candy dispenser Gumball globe. If you remember, I made this a while back. And one of the requests I've been getting is that it's too big for some people's printers. They would like it if I could make it smaller. So that's what we're going to try and do. Okay guys, here we are in Fusion 360. This is where we're going to do our model at. We're going to start off by sketching it. So the first thing we'll do is we'll start with a rectangle. Now, of course, we can start by getting a rectangle by clicking here if we want to, or we can click on the sketch and come down here to rectangle and click on rectangle, or we can just hit R on the keyboard and it'll select a rectangle. Now we have to select what plane we want to do our drawing on. And since Y is our vertical plane, we're going to draw it on Y, which is this plane here. So this says, now it says, you can see up here, it says that we have the front facing us, which is fine. So we're going to come out here a little ways from about here, and we're going to go up with our rectangle so far and over a little bit. So as you can see, it's asking for dimensions. So we're going to start with 3 tab by, and it's 27 millimeters tall. So there are starting dimensions. So it's 3 millimeters wide by 27 millimeters high. Now the first part I'm drawing is I'll show you here. First part I'm drawing would be the neck part right here. Okay, so I'm drawing this first, but I'm actually drawing it the other way around. So flip the globe over. That's the way I'm going to draw this. Okay, so that's the beginning of it. That's just this is a two-dimensional image, which will turn into a 3. So that's the width, the thickness of it there. Okay, so I got that. So I'm going to draw another rectangle. Stick it onto the side here. And it is 2 millimeters by 5 millimeters. Okay, and that is starting this ridge right here. Okay, the flat part of this ridge is roughly 2 millimeters out by 5 millimeters thick for the flat part. Okay, so now we need to get the distance from this line to this line correct, so we can zoom in here a little bit. Alright, so we'll hit dimensions, and then we'll say I want to go from this line to this point, and it is 15 millimeters. So that dropped the box down to 15 millimeters. Okay, so now I'm going to come over here and I'm actually going to grab something called a point. So I'm going to grab this point right here, and I'm going to draw a point right here, over here, because I want a point. And then we can come out of the point tool, and then I want to do another dimension, and I want to go from this point to here. Okay, and I need that to be 2 millimeters. Oops, I need that to be 2 millimeters. So now that is 2 millimeters apart from that point to that point. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a line. So we can hit L for line, or you can come up under sketch and go to line, or you can click on this symbol right here. But I'm going to go to line, and I'm going to go from this point to this point. So that gives me the correct height from here to here and from here to here. Okay, so now we're going to go back and we're going to take out a couple lines because we don't need them. So we're going to do what's called a trim. You can come in here and you can go to trim, or you can just hit T, hit escape, and trim. Okay, and I don't need this line. I don't need this line, and I don't need this line, because that's all I need in order to get that bottom rim. Okay, so now we have that part done. So now what we need to do is add the globe on top of it. So we'll scroll out here a little bit, and then we're going to switch over to a circle. Okay, as you can see, we have several different kinds of circles we can choose from. So we're going to start with a normal circle. Now again, I can click here and get it and have a circle. or I can hit C on the keyboard and draw a circle. Okay, so now as you can see right here, oh, let's put in one more dimension real quick. Come down here, and I'm going to hit D for dimension. And I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to go to the outside corner here. Okay, and drag that down. And that needs to be 35 millimeters. Because when we make the whole thing circular, I want 70 millimeters all the way around. So that gives me the correct dimension there. Okay, so I have all my dimensions there. So now the next thing we need to do is we need to draw our circle. So we'll start off with a circle. Now in order to draw a circle, like I said, you can come up here and I can select circle and come in here and get a circle. Or I can hit C on my keyboard and get a circle. Now right now, I can already tell you we're going to be 70 millimeters across the base. So if we got to remember, if we're working right now to build one for 150 by 150 by 150. Okay, and we're already 27 millimeters high. So we have to be careful that we don't really exceed right around 125 or so inches in height. So because we're drawing a center one here, well, let's just draw a circle. We'll start off at, let's say about there, and we'll just draw a circle out until it meets. Zoom in here. We can meet this point right here with it. Okay. Now we can look and see how big we are. Okay, so we are now, if we were to check dimensions, we should be able to go from, we have to put a point on it first. So point from the top point here. Escape dimensions from this point to this point. As you can see, is 125 millimeters, so we're good there. That's not a big deal. That means we fit within the dimensions we want to be in. So we'll do that. Okay, so that looks pretty good. That gives us a nice little circle there. That gives us our globe. And as you can see by our width, if we were to measure our width of the whole thing, which we can do just by, let's see, we'll come in here and grab dimensions. Oops, sorry, dimensions. The thing is 110 millimeters across, so we should fit within our 150 by 150 by 150. Okay, so we're going to leave that there. In fact, actually, dimension, we need to know the size of this. So we're going to take that so we know the size of it. And we're going to leave that alone. Okay, now that we've got the center circle on the outside done, we need to draw an inner circle because we want to make a hollow sphere. So the way we're going to do that is we'll draw another circle. So we'll click circle. And we'll come out here. Now, we want to make the thickness wall of the circle 0.8 millimeters. So if we were to do that, in order to get it 0.8, we have to remember you have to take 0.8 on each side of the circle. So I have to take 0.8 from this wall and 0.8 from this wall. So in order to do that, that's 1.6 millimeters. So if we look at our current dimensions, we have 110.887 millimeters. So if we were to take 1.6 from that, would be 109.287 millimeters. Okay, so that now is 1.6 millimeters thickness right here. And we can test that real easy by coming over here and grabbing a point and zooming in anywhere we want on the circle. And grab that point and that point. And then we come over here and grab our dimension tool and click there and there. As you can see, it is 0.8, which is exactly what we were looking for, is 0.8. Okay? I don't need those certain points there. All right. So there we go. Now we have our globe all the way around. Now, if you remember when I printed the last one, we need a flat spot on top because we need some way to print it, because you don't want to print it you don't want to print it in this orientation. You want to turn it upside down and print it so it prints better. Because you want to try and print this without support material, which is why you're trying to make it the best you can the way you have it. Okay? So we're going to add a flat spot to it. So we don't need too big of a flat spot, but we do need a big enough one to where our overhangs don't get too big. So I would say on this one we would probably be okay. We'll start with a line. If we come in right about here and we draw a line all the way across to here. Alright. And then what we want to do is, actually, let me take that back. Let's do this with a rectangle. This might be a little easier. So with a rectangle, if we zoom in here a little bit, okay, here's the line we wanted to do it on. So if we come just outside of it, and we come up here, and come over, and come outside of it, because it's okay that we're outside, okay, and we want it to be 0.8 by whatever width we just drew it, which is fine. Now you can see we have a flat spot on our globe. Now, of course, we have a lot of lines we don't need here. So now we got to start closing some stuff off to do what we need to do to it. So we're going to draw a couple lines real quick. First line we're going to draw is right here at the top. We're going to draw a line from here to here. Oops, let me zoom in here so I can see it. There we go, there to there. Okay, then we're also going to draw a line from here to here. Alright, and that should be all the lines we need to draw. Let me double check myself. Yes, that looks correct. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to have to start getting rid of lines. So that's pretty easy. We can come down here and we go to trim, or we can hit T on our keyboard. And the first thing we're going to want to do is trim that line away and trim that line away. Okay, then we can trim this one. Oops, sorry, not that one. Yes, we can trim that. Control Z. Control T. I'm sorry. We can trim that one. I guess we didn't need to put this line here. I wasn't thinking correctly. We don't need that line there. So we can actually zoom in and get rid of this one. We didn't need that one. That was one too many lines. And then, as you can see, I can delete all these little lines out here, because what I'm looking for is to get half a globe drawn. Okay, so I don't need this one out here, or this one here, or this little one here, or this one inside, or this one inside, because I want a solid model here. Okay, so I can scroll up on this, and we can scroll down here and take a look at it. And if I look here, I don't need this line, or this line, or this line. So now, as you can see, we have a sketch if you were to slice the globe in half of what it would look like. Okay, so we can see that. And then once we have that sketch done, now this is the fun, this is the easy part of it, is you can then stop your sketch. And now you can see we have a drawing that is half of our globe, half of our gumball globe. So in order to make it what we want, we can just come in here and click, and that highlights the whole thing on the inside. You can come over here to create, and we want to do a revolve. Okay, so the profile we want to revolve is this profile, and we want to revolve it around this axis, and boom, there we go. It just glued our globe for us. And now we've got our globe. And it looks like that should be a flat enough spot on top for the globe to rest on. As you can see, it's hollow. And as you can see, we have our profile now for our rim cap to go on it. Okay, so this is our medium-sized globe. So now that we've done that, we can save this. New gumball, or yeah, gumball globe medium. So now I can save that. Now I'm just going to save that off into one of my folders. Just put it under test prints for right now. Okay, so we have that one. Now we can export it to our printer. But before we do that, let's draw the smaller one. Okay, so what we're going to do is go over here and go File, New. And then we can do the same thing we just did really quick. So I'm just going to do it really quick, and then we'll come back in just a second and we'll go over some of it. So let me just do this part real quick. Okay, so now I've managed to get us back to one more dimension here real quick. I have gotten us back to the beginning point where we have the base done. All we have to do now is put the globe on it again. And this globe's pretty much going to be the same way, except for now we're going to want to keep the total height under 100. Well, the easiest way we can do that is let's see if we can put the center part of our globe right around 60 millimeters or something, somewhere right about here. So let's draw a circle. And let's see what it looks like if we do it from there and we do it out to this point. Doesn't look too bad. And it's just under 100. Technically it's hitting 100, but when we chop the top off, it'll be just under 100. And our width should be under 100 because we're only at 89 millimeters. So our total width is close to about 89, let's say 90 millimeters. So let's do that. We'll drop that circle. We'll grab our dimensions real quick so we have them, because they're always nice to have. Makes it a lot easier to see things. And then we'll draw our next circle inside this one, just like we did before. And of course we're going to make it 1.6 millimeters smaller. Again, so we're going to go to 88.091. Which should give us our exact dimension we wanted. And then I'm just going to really quick draw another rectangle. I'll zoom in up here at the top a little bit. And let's grab a rectangle from right here through here. We'll go 0.8. That should be okay right where it's sitting. Very good. We'll draw a line real quick. Snap it from here to here. Okay, and now I can trim some stuff off real quick. So I can come up here and take all this out again. See, as long as you're careful and you make sure you click the correct lines. And if you accidentally click the wrong one, it's not the end of the world. You can always just undo what you did. So I don't need that, I don't need that, and I don't need that, and I don't need that. There we go. And again, we have a new profile. Now this is our smaller globe. So we can stop this sketch. And again, we can select this. We can come up here to create, revolve, select our axis. This is the axis we want it to revolve around, and boom, we have a smaller globe. Now, yes, I know the smaller globe looks a little funny, but it's about all that's going to fit because the base has to stay the same size because that's the size the collar has to be. So that has to stay the same size. So the only choice you get to do is change the globe itself. So we can say OK, and there we go. As you can see, we have a new globe. Okay, now to export this is not real difficult. You come up here and you have your make. Now you can come down in here and click print, or you can come up here and click on the printer if that's the one you have selected, depending on what you did last. I'm just going to come here and click print. Now, in the past, I've always used Print Studio, but for some reason, when I got my last Windows update, I believe it is, it broke Print Studio, and now I can't even get it to install. It wouldn't let it open or run. I had to completely uninstall it, remove it from the registry and everything, and now it won't install it at all. It just dies every time it tries to install it. So, until that gets fixed, I'm going to have to use something else. So, I have Mesh Mixer, which I can use. So I'll select Mesh Mixer and I'll pick this globe. And it'll take it just a second here because I have it on high, so it's creating a large number of triangles to do this. So as you can see, it's a very detailed globe. It'll be really smooth, where the last one we did wasn't quite as smooth. I mean, if I wanted to, I could redo the other globe, which I probably will when I post the files. I'm just not going to do it in this video. And then I can say, okay, that's what I want. And it's going to pop up here in Mesh Mixer. Now, I'm not using Mesh Mixer for anything except for to bring it up here and just say I want to export it. You can export it as an object, or you can export it as an STL. And I've tried both STLs, and it doesn't seem to matter which you do it as. I don't know if it really matters for different printers. But for the software I'm using, it doesn't matter. It still works fine with either one. So I've been doing binary, or I just leave it as an object. And we'll save that off. Okay. I don't want to save that. So there we go. So now we have all that. So now what we can do is we can open up Cura real quick. So here we go. So give me just a second. Let me surf to it. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to open up the small one because I'll print the small one first. As we can see, it's loaded up here now. It's laying on its side. I expected that. So you can come in here to rotate, grab this and rotate it 90 degrees so it's on its top. Okay, now we'll go over the settings we have this set on real quick. I do have it set on a 0.2 layer height, 1.2 shell thickness, and a 1.2 top and bottom thickness. Now, of course, if you remember, our shell is actually 0.8, so 0.2 really doesn't make a difference. 1.2 doesn't really make a difference because our shell thickness and the model itself is only 0.8. But that's okay. The fill density is 20%. That'll affect a little bit up here in the collar, but other than that, it won't affect it any. And our print speed is going to be at 50. We're going to do it at 200 degrees, 200 C for the print temperature, and the bed temperature we're going to have at 60. We're not going to do any support material or anything like that. Okay? Now if we switch over to layers real quick. I like coming over to layers when I do globes or things with thin walls on them, just to make sure I don't see any breaks in it. Okay, I know that turns clear there. I don't know why the Ultimaker does that, but you can see it prints layers and it comes up. But there's no clear spots poking through the walls there, so that looks good. Like I was saying, you can see right here where the fill density comes in. And there we go. So it looks like it'll print it fine. Okay, so let's switch back over to normal view. And as you can see here, the print says it's going to take 3 hours and 43 minutes. It's 14.12 meters of material, or 42 grams. Okay, now of course this is the small one. Now if we open another Cura real quick, we can load up the medium one. And again, as you can see, it landed on its side, but we expected it to. And then you just have to rotate it 90 degrees to its top. Alright, now we can see all of our settings are here the same. We can switch over to our layers real quick and verify that it doesn't look like there's any holes in the shell. So switch back over to normal here. Okay, now this one says it's going to take 4 hours and 58 minutes. This is 19.23 meters of material, or 57 grams. So we will also save this one off to the SD card. Then we'll take both of them over to the printer, get the printer heated up, and get her printing. Alright guys, as you can see I printed out the small one to start with, so let's test it. As you can see it fits in the top of the gumball machine wonderfully. So let's see how the collar fits on it. Okay, well, looking at it here, if you look here on the back, this is supposed to squeeze shut and fit in between here and here. Let's see if I can let y'all see that a little better. This is supposed to fit in between here and the other side over here. And as you can see, it's not going to, because it's not going to fit. So what that tells me is I need to make an adjustment. It tells me I need to make an adjustment to this collar here. I think I need to make this a little bit taller here and a little bit smaller around. So let's jump over to the computer and take care of that real quick. Alright guys, we need to make a small modification to the model. After printing out the small one, I determined this space here is too small and it's also too big around up here. Now this is correct, the bottom part is correct, but this little space in here needs to be a little bit thinner, approximately 2 millimeters all the way around, so 1 millimeter on each side. And it also needs to be a millimeter taller for the collar to fit over this section correctly. So it's pretty easy to fix in Fusion 360. We can just come in here, right click on our sketch, and come in here and modify our sketch. Okay, so what we're going to do to start with is we are going to come in here and we're going to get rid of this line. And I'm going to get rid of a couple of these restraints that are here. I'm actually going to remove this measurement. And I'm actually going to remove that I had a point sitting there, so I got rid of it. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get a fixed. What this does is it makes this line so it shouldn't change size, and then we can fix all these lines through here so they're not supposed to change size. Because I don't want any of that to change. I want all that to stay the same. Okay. Now the other thing I am going to do is I am going to come up here and I am going to delete this line. Alright, now I'm going to draw a new line from this point down, and I'm going to go 3 millimeters. Alright, so now I have that line in place. Now what I need to do is I need to make this point and this space smaller. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a vertical restraint on this line. Okay, and I'm also going to put a parallel restraint on this line and this line. Okay, oops, this line to this line. I don't think it took. We'll see if it did or not. Okay, so now what I should be able to do is come in here and go dimensions, and I should be able to say I want this point to this line to be 2 millimeters. Boom, there we go. So how it moved it over 2 millimeters for us. Okay, now I can draw a simple line from this point to this point. Okay, and then if I stop the sketch, as you see now I've made this a little bit taller and a little bit thinner all the way around. When I stop the sketch, it automatically modified our model. So we didn't have to re-rotate or revolve our model. It just went ahead and changed our dimensions on the model. I printed this one out. As you can see, it fits up here good too. And we'll test it now to see if the collar fits. And for the big test on that, as you can see, yes it does. Now it fits. Now you can put a lock through there if you want to. As we can see, it's all on there correctly. And it looks good. Alright guys, so to wrap this up, we've got a small one, we've got a medium one, there is actually a large one, and then we have our original, which would be the extra large. I did not print out the large one, but I did create a model for it, so it will be on Thingiverse. They all fit the gumball machine beautifully. Of course, the original still, in my opinion, looks fantastic on it, but the smaller ones look great too, depending on what you need based on the size of your printer. Thank y'all for watching. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe. Please leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, have a great day.